What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Generational Sports. I'm hosting as always, but listen, if you haven't noticed it because you're not watching it live right now, or maybe listen, the guy to my right, different, not Josh. It's not Josh. We have made the show instantly more classy, and the reason for that is Callum has a British accent, so we're instantly more classy now. But Callum, I start every show off with a very important question to Josh. And since you're replacing Josh for this episode, and well, because you're one of my unwrapped brethrens anyway, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, it's a nice day here in sunny Dallas, Texas. Trying to stay cool inside all this this heat outside. Home of the Cowboys, and excitement is palpable with the season coming up. And yeah, just excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I'll try and live up to the classy nature of the show and try and keep things moving smoothly.
Yeah, don't worry, it's not very difficult. How is that weather in Texas? Because let me tell you something. First of all, I'm a larger man, so we don't do well in the heat. And let me tell you, it's been about 95 and humid here in New York. I could jump right off the Empire State Building. That's how I feel about it.
There's days when I'd kill for 95. Honestly, like 95 would be amazing.
See,
it gets when it gets above 100, it's really difficult. I mean, I came over here a slightly less large man, to play soccer at college, and
do that too,
doing that and trying to run in 100 degrees was a whole other question. So it isn't easy, but generally speaking, when you grow up in kind of rain, cold, and clinical depression, like a lot of people in the UK, sunshine and rainbows, generally speaking, it's a better place to be. So it's not perfect, nothing ever is, but I'd be quite happy with kind of 85 and a little breeze would be ideal. But I'd rather it was 100 than 40 is how I look at it.
See, I'm a big 75 and a 3 mile an hour, 5 mile an hour wind, huh?
I can take that.
Now,
I feel like most of the time in New York, it's all right.
I think it's stupid, the difference between dry heat and humid heat. Listen, it's hot either way. But with that being said, is it dry heat down there? Is it dry heat?
It's less humid than, say, Houston. Houston's a lot more humid.
Okay.
But it's still more humid than like the UK, what I'm used to, where there really isn't much humidity at all. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine being in kind of Arizona where it's 120 but dry. Like, I think that would be sapping. So
yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know how I feel about dry heat versus humid heat. Like, I feel like, listen, it's hot either way.
I think it depends on what you're doing. Like, as bigger guys, slightly on the sweaty side anyway. Yeah. But when it's humid and it's just everything sticking to you, if you're trying to impress people, it becomes awkward when you're covered in sweat constantly. But if you're just kind of hanging out and chilling, then I'm good with the dry heat.
Now let me tell you, my brother got married. Well, I mean, hey, it must have been 2 weeks by now, huh? Had to put that suit on. First of all, I looked fantastic. If anybody hasn't checked it out, the Instagram, Anthony_Conover, go shoot me a like over on IG. But I look dashing, but a little toasty. There was definitely some sweat going on. And you know what, Callum, I don't think I ever asked you this, and we've spoken to many a times. When did you come here?
August of 2013 originally for college. And then, it was in San Antonio until about 2018. Had to go back to the UK for a few years, and then I got back to Dallas in November of 21. So getting towards kind of 9 months back in the States now. And looking forward to my first full NFL season in the US for a few years now.
Now I got to ask the typical question too. What was the culture shock? Was there anything?
To Texas? Yeah, massive.
Was it?
Everything. I mean, the first I got off a plane, I landed here at like 11 p.m. at night in San Antonio. And the first guy, when I was walking through the airport, the first guy I saw, hat, big mustache, massive belt buckle. And I was like, okay, so we're just doing the stereotypes then. Okay, that's fine. It's funny. I think not having been to Texas before at that point, I was definitely expecting kind of cowboys everywhere and people riding horses and stuff like that. And, I think the perception of Texas when you haven't been here is what West Texas is, where the Lubbocks and places like that, where there is maybe a bit more of a country feel to it. But to be fair to Dallas, to be fair to San Antonio, Austin, and Houston, all the big cities are very nice places to live. I can't recommend them enough. And, you see how Austin's blowing up. Like, it's more expensive than New York is now. So who knows really what direction that's
very
going to go.
difficult to do, by the way. Very difficult.
Yeah, honestly.
Well, listen, what a time. What a time to be alive. And you know what? We're going to jump into it, people, because we're kind of just going to freeform here, huh? Listen, because I'm going to be honest with the people here. Josh is usually the one that comes up with some topics. I've been a little busy recently. Just finished up my internship, though, thank God. Had to listen, by the way, I don't plan very far in ahead, so this might have been my problem. But I'm doing this internship, and all of a sudden I look yesterday, I had to hand in a portfolio. That's fine. I thought, something light, easy portfolio. I had to make a website. A website for the portfolio? Bro, I'm sitting, and listen, I don't go to bed until 5 in the morning. So, I wake up 1:30 in the afternoon. All of a sudden, I find out I got to make a website. Your boy was on Squarespace doing great things.
If anyone can do that in 5 hours, it's you, obviously.
Listen, it was due at 12. I got to finish by 6 o'clock.
Easy.
Proud of myself. While watching the Yankee game, which didn't end well. Man,
I don't think you've got too much to worry about with the Yankees. I think they'll be fine come postseason. I think you'll be absolutely fine.
Listen, I'm starting to get a little worried. Now, listen, Aaron Boone made a great statement early in the year. He said right now, when they were the hottest team in baseball, winning every single game, he said, we're making a lot of deposits right now so that down the line, if anything goes wrong, we can make some withdrawals. And let me tell you, they've made quite a few withdrawals the past month and a half, 2 months. So a little worried. Now, I'm not fully worried only because I want Stanton back in the lineup. I want Rizzo back in the lineup because now, Rizzo got a little back thing going on. He missed 4 games earlier this year with a back thing. Might acting up a little bit because, listen, with Aaron Judge on pace to become Jesus himself, the teams have officially started walking and they started giving that Barry Bonds treatment. So once somebody can hit behind Judge and actually actually give the man some protection so they have to throw a pitch, somewhere close to the strike zone, and they keep losing, then I'll be concerned. But right now, nervous. Concerned, maybe not so much.
So just to jump off that in terms of, where we're going to start tonight, I'm going to start in New York. Now, I know they're not your team, but obviously Yankees, I'm sure there's plenty of Yankee fans out there who are also New York Giants fans. Okay. And I think there's something that's really interesting there was this rep going around social media this weekend that made Daniel Jones look completely clueless. Now, I'm not here to say yes, no, up, down, left, right about Daniel Jones. I think he's got some talent. I don't necessarily think he should have been drafted as high as he was by the Giants, but that's a whole other discussion. That's Dave Gettleman's question to answer one day. But do you see the New York Giants sticking with Daniel Jones? Or, as there have been rumors, are they going to go and trade for Jimmy Average himself, Garoppolo from the 49ers?
Now, let me say this. I think Jimmy would be an upgrade from Daniel Jones. And I don't think that's much of a hot take, especially with the way Mr. Danny Pennies has been playing and all the turnovers he has, the fumbles, everything. But there's just a weird thing that, like, Giant fans, or at least the ones I see on Twitter, and some people just still kind of have a faith in Daniel Jones. And let me tell you something. I've watched more Giant games than I ever in my life would want to watch.
I figured that might be the case.
More Giant and Jet games in my life than I ever wanted to watch.
Well, being in the New York area,
exactly.
Why would you not have an opinion? Which is why I wanted to start here, really, because despite you being, a fan of the Death Star that is the New England Patriots organization, I feel like your knowledge of the New York area and your connections in there would suggest that you maybe have a little bit more of an insight than maybe I do, being a significant number of
I think
miles away.
I think they're going to stick with Jones the whole year. I really do.
They won't trade for Garoppolo.
No, I think because I don't believe they picked up his 5th-year option. So I think
I'll check it.
I don't remember exactly, but I think this is his last hurrah. I think if he does bad here, he turns into guy who bounces around the league as a backup, and then But I also feel, which is also kind of
they declined it. Sorry to
they
jump
did
in.
decline
April 28th, 2022. Giants won't pick up the 5th-year option for 23. So the 2019 first-round pick will be entering the final year of his rookie contract in 22.
Okay.
So
listen, that's
it's an out for them if it goes badly, but it's also maybe a costly decision for them if it goes well.
See, that's always my thing because I don't know. Maybe you're with me on this. I hate tanking. I think tanking absolutely ruins plenty of sports. I think it's terrible. Baseball, basketball. Listen, the 76ers did it, and they're good now. Still haven't won a championship. If I'm going to tank, I better damn well win a championship.
Listen, I come from a sport where if you tank, you don't play in the league anymore.
I forgot that. Does that.
And so, obviously, I'm not here proposing relegation in the NFL.
Well,
there's no real logical way to make it work.
XFL.
But it would be quite funny if the winners of the XFL, your prize is you get to take the Jacksonville Jaguars spot in the NFL next season. That would be funny to me. I would enjoy that. And I can see Logan's comment about the Giants if we can get that one up because he's. I don't know that I would go necessarily as far as a dumpster fire. I think the decisions they've made in the offseason, bringing in Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, have been very good. I think Daboll is a very good coach who will find a way to make things work. But Daboll has also inherited kind of an island of misfit toys in that Daniel Jones, no one's quite sure what he is. Saquon Barkley, everyone knows what he can be, but is he ever going to be able to be that based on injuries?
Can I be this guy?
Yes, sir.
I'm over Saquon, by the way. I'm over it.
Really?
I'm over it. Listen, I know that the offensive line is bad, and I also know you kind of need a good offensive line if you're going to be a running back. But he is the props that he gets does not make sense to me. Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you can change my mind on this. I would rather have a running back who is a constant 3 yards every time. Even if you average 3 yards per carry, I would take that instead of Saquon, where it's -1 yard, -3 yards, -5 yards, a 6-yard run, and then a 70-yard run. And then for the next 25 plays, it's 1 yard, -3 yards. And then at the end of the game, he has 15 carries for 95 yards. And you're like, oh my God, Saquon Barkley is unbelievable. And then you look at the game and you're like, wow, Saquon Barkley played like absolute trash. And he had one run down the sideline.
I think that's where your point about the offensive line comes in, because I don't want to blame Saquon for having a bad line. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Saquon is the greatest running back that ever lived. He might be probably the greatest college running back of the last 2 decades.
No,
maybe.
That man was a problem. I mean, you got Reggie in there, but
yeah, no, I don't want to disrespect, recency bias. I don't want to disrespect people, but certainly of the last 10 years that I've really been following college football seriously, I can't think of anyone who's been quite as electrifying as Saquon is. Now, the NFL is a different game, and it's not uncommon for superstars at college to not quite translate. But I do kind of wish he'd just been put in a different situation, because I think he could have been electric to finish. But no, I love a big explosive play, so you're not going to hear me, say that they should get rid of Saquon by any means.
Because I love an explosive play too. Would you take the 3 yards per, or would you take the one flashy run?
There's a part of the NFL and the chess game that is the NFL is that you have to have that threat of lightning in a bottle. Like that, and it's a funny suggestion, Barkley to the Jets.
Yeah, Vic. Listen,
they've just drafted Breece Hall, who himself is a pretty good college running back at Iowa State.
Apparently third on the depth
Michael
chart.
Carter, they really like as well. Huh?
He's also apparently third on their depth chart. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, you can be third on the depth chart week 1 of preseason and be the starter week 1 of the NFL season. You know, I only pay so much attention to depth charts until it's kind of the end of training camp. I think there's definitely a part of it that is, if we put the rookie first on the depth chart immediately, the veterans get a little bit annoyed, especially if the rookie hasn't quite got the playbook yet and so on like that. I don't necessarily think that, you know, Breece Hall has to take every snap for the Jets at running back this season. I think they've got a core of good running backs. And also, to my frustration as an avid fantasy football player, all of these coaches from the Shanahan tree like to use 4, 5, 6 different running backs, which is why the 49ers are so annoying, because they can't just settle on a workhorse.
Oh, you hate us then, huh?
Oh, I mean, I love Damian Harris. And yet this Ramondre guy is trying to ruin my life all of last season. And it seems even this season, now he's going to, you know, I mean, Stevenson, credit to him, what player, obviously. But I just, you know, and you drafted more this year, like Pierre Strong and things like that. I didn't understand what, you know, I don't understand a lot of what Bill Belichick does, but there's a reason why he's there and I'm here. So, but yeah, sorry, just to finish on the Giants specifically, their wide receiver room is so weird that, you know,
didn't score a touchdown last year.
Well, yeah, and I thought bringing Kenny Golladay in was a decent upgrade for Daniel Jones at the time. But obviously that didn't really work out. And Slayton and Shepard, we kind of know what they are. They kind of haven't really developed. And so, you know, for me, it is almost, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants had a bottom 5 record this season and really went the blow-up route. But again, knowing what Brian Daboll is like, unless they've pre-agreed that, like, that's okay if that happens when they brought him in, I can't imagine him signing off on that, because obviously he's been part of the huge upturn in Buffalo's fortunes and creating offense with Josh Allen.
I think that answers the the Daniel Jones question in a weird way too. And I also think, you know, kind of bouncing to one of your other teams with the Dolphins.
Watch your mouth, son.
I think both of those teams are putting all the chips in the table to the front of the table and being like, listen, if you can't succeed now, you're done. Because you look at the Giants, they bring in Golladay. Obviously, Saquon, you hope has a full healthy year. Brian Daboll, offensive coach. You go to the Dolphins, they bring in Tyreek Hill. They already had Jalen Waddle. They got Mike Gesicki. They bring in, you know, another genius from the Shanahan tree, offensive coach once again. If those two quarterbacks don't take what they did, and like to me this year, Tua is unsuccessful if, first of all, they have to make the playoffs. I think that's the minimum. But I also think Tua is unsuccessful this year if he's not at least like 28-12. He needs, and I'm being nice, I would really like to see him have 30 touchdowns. And I know that kind of
sounds to see him like 30 and 10. Yeah, I mean that would be
But you know, the
ideal.
weird part about it too is I feel like that sounds like a lot, but is it really that much in today's NFL? Like, is 30 touchdowns in a passing world that much anymore?
In a 17-game season, no. I mean, the only thing I can say is that, you know, and we'll go through all the Dolphins right now, but specifically in terms of numbers, if that's what we're saying, as Christian tells us, and Christian knows a lot better than we do, that the O-line is responsible for the first 2.5 yards and the rest is on the back. And we'll get to these Dolphins running backs in a second, because they're, you know, playing
with the Cowboys and Titans.
Playing God catch them all like Pokemon with running backs right now.
Packers, Pats, week 4, and Packers, Dolphins, week 16 going to be epic.
See, this is the problem.
I'm talking about the Packers.
I know. Good for him. He's right. I mean, the Packers are serious, and if the Aaron Rodgers interview that I listened to on part of my take this morning is anything to go by, you know, he's in a good place and excited for the season. And we'll touch on the Packers later on because they're an interesting situation. I like the idea that Logan is putting the Jets second in the AFC.
Yeah, my man Vic is out of his mind.
We'll talk about the Patriots because he might not be too wrong with that one.
Notre Dame versus BYU at the Raiders Stadium in Vegas this year, absolute vibe. Listen, imagine watching college football. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't. For a game like that, it could be.
I think I'm gonna, Callum. I think I'm gonna try it this year.
It is good. It's just not the NFL. Like it's enjoyable and it's lots of fun. And I think you just go into it. One thing you can guarantee is that you and I'm pretty sure on the same page that like I like my NFL games filled with points. I don't want 7-3 at halftime. I want 27-24 at
I agree with
halftime.
that, but
you get that in college football.
But my other thing is with college, I want my NFL games that way, but I also like the fact that I know it might and probably will be close. Yeah. I'm not watching Alabama versus NYU, bro. I'm not watching it.
I've got no interest in watching Bama beat people by 40, but I've got interest in the SEC being, a touchdown here or there in each game at the end. Hopefully going to get some college games this year in person. I was at SMU's practice the other day. Really interested to see how they do. I think Dallas is crying out for a successful college team, and SMU was once upon a time a real powerhouse and could become that again. But anyway, sorry, on the Dolphins specifically, Tua, now that Stephen Ross has decided to screw us out of a first-round draft pick.
Yes, he did. Shout out, Bill.
Belichick's master plan coming to fruition again. It really changes everything because when we had 2 first-round picks, if Tua didn't work it out this year, you've got enough collateral there, enough capital to move up. You can get your CJ Stroud, please no. You can get your Bryce Young if that's what you want to do, maybe. But now it kind of feels like Tua really just has to work out because with Tua, there's no way we're going to win less than 7 games with Tua.
I mean, I hope so.
No, but like in a nightmare situation, I genuinely think the worst the Dolphins could do is 7-10. But when I look at their schedule, I worry that the best they're going to do is 9-8, unless this talent gels really quickly and they get to 10-7, or praise the Lord, 11-6, and they would definitely be in the playoffs. I think in the AFC, you're going to have to win 10 games to be a playoff team with the amount of depth in the AFC. 9-8 is not going to be good enough. You're going to have to get to 10 wins. And for the Dolphins to do that, they're going to have to win one of these big games against Matt's aforementioned Packers and other teams like that in order to get in. Well, the Packers game is really exciting.
Why don't we do something? Why don't we look at the schedule real quick, huh?
Okay, we can do it.
Because listen, one of my favorite things in the world is the ever famous and never boring win-loss, win-loss, loss-loss, win game that I like to play.
Yeah.
And I mean,
special reference to the Dolphins social media team for their awful schedule release.
This is terrible, by the way.
They did nothing in this graphic. It's terrible.
I went to Google and typed in Dolphins schedule. So maybe they did do better, and I just found it bad.
This was all it was. They didn't even do a video on schedule release night. So, I mean, I'm going to say win week 1 because I am hearing reports that the Patriots offense is in a bit of a shambles. And I think that with Matt Patricia holding plays, it might take them a couple of weeks to work it out. Also, the Patriots have a bad record in Miami generally. So
can I say this?
Yes, you can.
I have win for the Pats only because Bill versus a rookie head coach.
Okay.
And usually we have trouble in Miami late in the season. Because it's 9 degrees in New England the entire year, and then all of a sudden we play in Miami and it's 95, and it doesn't make any sense to any of the New England players.
So I hear that, and I'll accept that, but I'll raise you the fact that Tua Tagovailoa is 100% win rate against the Patriots.
This is a very true statement.
So we can agree to disagree, and that's one we can discuss. But there are a few fairly obvious ones on here. But I'm basically saying that do you know who I feel sorry for, the Patriots? I feel sorry for Mac Jones because he has no one to throw to. Like, Devontae Parker's not a bad player, and you picked him up from us, and that's very nice. But Mac Jones has nobody.
No, Devontae Parker is a 2 on a good team and a 3 on a very good team.
But
he's our 1.
Kendrick Bourne sucks.
And he was our best player.
Who's the other guy? Jacoby Myers. He sucks as well.
All right. Sucks is very strong.
I say this politely, respectfully. They're incredible athletes, and I could never do what they do. But they're both rubbish. And if you're Mac Jones not having a weapon, Mac Jones' best receivers are the 2 tight ends. And
Jonnu Smith was on a milk carton last year. So
yeah, but apparently he's looking good in camp. Either way, Patriots, whole other discussion. Yeah, I'm saying win. You're saying loss. That's fair enough. The Ravens, somehow we beat them last year and we had no right to. We will lose this one because Lamar is back with a vengeance. So I'm saying we're 1-1 I'm assuming you have us 0-2.
Listen, I'm going to be real with you. This is an easy rest. This is 3 losses in a row. I got zero faith you beat the Ravens, Bills, or Bengals. Zero.
So in my head, basically what I'll say is after 6, we're 3-3. That's what I'd say.
So you got a Pats win, 3 losses in a row. Jets win, Vikings win.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is a fraud of the highest level, and I won't believe in him ever. So,
but yet you believe in Dak.
We can go there. I promise
you
we'll
kill
go
me
there.
sometimes.
It's not necessarily even necessarily believe. It's the level of slander you get just because you have a star on your helmet is unfair, is what I would say. Whereas Kirk Cousins has everything he needs to succeed and still sucks.
Is that hold on?
The only one I would say is up for debate.
The turquoise is home games, right?
The turquoise is home games, yeah. So again, so we're at home against the Vikings as well. We're not going to beat the Bills either home or away, so you can just give those 2 losses straight away. The only one, and this might sound ridiculous, but the only one that I think we could potentially flip, and the reason I say this is because I don't think they will be able to perform at the level they did at the end of last season. I think there's a chance we could beat the Bengals, and it's not that I don't think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase will light us up, because they will, but it's going to be very interesting to see how McDaniel's system translates and starts this year. Thank you, Alec. You are completely correct.
Listen, you're not going to get any, you're not getting any argument out of me about Kirk.
But basically, what I would say is, even if we go with UAC and we say the Dolphins are 0-4, I would then say that the Dolphins are 5-4 before they play Cleveland. Like, we will beat the Steelers, the Lions, and the Bears. The Bears are possibly the worst franchise in the league this year. The Bears could be the worst team in the league.
The only argument you'll get, and it's funny because I just said how average he is. I could see you guys losing to the Vikings. I could see it. I'm not saying it happens.
Yeah, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. But I don't have the Vegas lines for these games in front of me right now. But if I was going to predict the Vegas lines for these games right now, I would say we'd be slight favorites against the Patriots, probably about a touchdown underdog against the Ravens, probably about 10-point underdogs against the Bills, probably about 4 points against the Bengals, a field goal favorite against the Jets.
4 against the Bengals, and the Bengal game is away. Nah, you're at least an 8-point dog.
8? Okay, I'll take +8 for sure. I'll take +8 there. But either way, let's say a touchdown against the Bengals. I'd say a field goal favorite against the Jets. I'd say maybe a point favorite against the Vikings just because of home field. I'd say a field goal favorite against the Steelers because we're at home and prime time. I'd say we're a field goal favorite against the Lions and a touchdown favorite against the Bears. The question really is, that Browns game in Week 10, will Deshaun be back? Because if Deshaun's not back, there is not a cat in hell's chance we're losing to Jacoby Brissett. So by the time we get to the bye week in Week 11, after 10 games, we will either be 5-5 or 6-4 at worst, is what I would say.
Here's my thing. And I obviously know the Browns will be a lot better with Watson.
Yeah.
I think people are slightly, not that Jacoby Brissett is good.
Oh, no, and I take this point. I know where you're going, and I take your point completely. I agree.
Yeah,
I do agree.
that they're a run team.
Yeah.
They are going to, for lack of a better term, and, pause real quick, pound it down your throat with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, although Kareem Hunt apparently wants out of Cleveland. I guess I kind of understand why, but I also don't, because you're part of an unbelievable running back duo, and you get enough playing time as it is, and you're probably going to be on a very good team if Watson comes back. So I don't know why he would want to leave, but that's a different story.
He's the lightning in Thunder and Lightning, and I understand that everyone wants to be Thunder, but I don't really see him leaving Cleveland at all. And what I will say is, I really do think the Browns will be a better team than people think with
I think they're going at minimum 3-3 when Watson's out.
Yes, because they've got an incredibly easy schedule.
They have the easiest schedule in the league, actually.
I think they'll actually go 4-2, but what I will tell you is they will lose Week 1 to Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. They will get killed by Baker Week 1.
I don't
guaranteed.
see it. I think they win.
No,
I think their only 2 losses are against the Chargers and Patriots.
I think they beat the Patriots.
See, I don't know, because we can focus.
But then again, and this is not a bias thing, but I'll be honest with you, AC. I'm really low on the Patriots this year.
Listen, I have the Patriots going 7-10, and that's my team.
I might be leaning 6-11, and I can't even say that seriously with Bill Belichick at the helm. But I'm not worried because I want you guys to suck and lose, but I'm worried for the Patriots. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll go back to the Dolphins. So
I think can we agree roughly that we reckon after 10 games that we'll be on the verge of 6-4, shall we say?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So after the bye week, we then get the second worst team in the league, the Texans, at home. So roll with me and we'll say we're 7-4, which looks like you're in a great position. But the problem is your next 4 games are an absolute gauntlet that you could lose all of them. And then you've got the Patriots away and the Jets to finish the season. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that I genuinely think Tua could have a really good season and we will still finish at best 9-8. Because, I personally don't like the Niners and think Shanahan's a little bit fraudy at times, blows a lot of leads, can't really get over the final.
I just don't know how I feel about Trey Lance.
Well, I think he'll be excellent running, and I think he's probably a better thrower than people are giving him credit for. But right now, until I see it, I have to go with belief that Mike McDaniel going back to the Niners could find a way to beat the Niners. I think that game is pivotal. If we're going to make the playoffs, week 13 in San Francisco, we have to win that game because there's not a chance that we beat the Chargers away. There's not a chance that we beat the Bills away. Are we going to beat the Packers at home on Christmas Day? No. Like my Christmas Day just got so stressful. So stressful. I didn't need it. Like, am I really happy the Dolphins are on prime time? Yeah, it's great. For the first time in 15 years of me being a fan, we have a superstar talent on the team and we're building in the right direction. But I don't need my Christmas Day ruined by 4 hours of Aaron Rodgers picking our defense apart. Now, what I will say in all of this, and we haven't really gone into detail on the actual roster here, Christian, Trey Lance was making throws his redshirt freshman year that I still haven't seen Dak make. Not everything's about Dak, lads, honestly. We'll get to Dak. But anyway, I think the Dolphins' defense is being underrated by large swathes of the league. A lot of people are talking about how a lot of this rests on Tua. But last year, our defense won us multiple games on their own. And they've only gotten better. And I really do think that the young, fly-around-the-ball defense, Mike McDaniel is the sort of coach that can galvanize his troops and bring people together. I'm excited to see what the Dolphins defense can do against the quarterbacks who I don't think are in the elite category. And for me, on this schedule, that's Mac Jones, that's Zach Wilson, that's Kirk Cousins, that's Trubisky or Pickett, that's Goff, that's Fields, that's Brissett, that's Mills, that's Lance, that's Jones, and that's Wilson again. So if you're telling me, basically, if I'm telling you the games that I do not think there's any way we can win, it's Chargers, Bills, Ravens, and maybe Bengals. Would be the 5.
You got faith in the Packer game?
Sorry, forgive me. Packers as well. Forgive me. Sorry, I misspoke. Packers, Bills, Chargers, Ravens, Bengals are all really hard to win. So that is 7 games already that I'm saying, right? 7 or 6? 6.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Bills twice, Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Chargers. So at the most, realistically, I think we could, if everything went perfectly, we could go 11-6. If everything went perfectly. But that means that we'd have to beat the Niners on the road and the Patriots home and away, which how often does that happen,
Now, let me ask you this question, because this is where I can kind of get in trouble. Because I think, like you said, Jimmy average. Mm-hmm. This man, defense has won them plenty of games. They won a game, I think, is the year that they went to the Super Bowl where he passed for like 70 yards.
Yeah.
But they won the game. You know what you have in a player. And I always say, listen, do you know how hard it is to find a quarterback? Like, that's why before the Browns were going to get Watson, they were like, oh, yeah, we're thinking about trading Baker. I was like, listen, I don't think Baker's the greatest player ever. But Baker just brought you to the playoffs and a playoff win for the first time
away at the Steelers
that I have ever seen. That was the first time the Browns, and listen, I think they made the playoffs in like 2006 or something like that before. But guess what? I was 6 years old. I didn't have any recollection of that. So the first time that I actually knew what was happening, the Browns were good in my life. and they're like, "Oh yeah, I think we're gonna get rid of Baker." And my thing is, are you out of your mind for 1 second?
Crazy.
Like, you found a quarterback after all of those years. Because Callum, go with it. Stay with me here. When's the last time? Sorry to do this to you. It's been since Dan Marino that the Dolphins had a quarterback. It's been Joe Namath for the Jets, who, by the way, fraud Hall of Famer, more interceptions than touchdowns. I'm just saying. Let's see. The Texans had Watson, but before and after that, it's been terrible. I mean, the Lions had Stafford, but I mean, before and after, I'm good. Like, the Jaguars might have never had a good quarterback in the history of their franchise. So, like, it takes forever to find a quarterback, and I just don't know. Like, the whole moving on thing, like, that's why for the 49ers, I'm like, I understand Jimmy is not what you want, but what if Trey Lance is terrible? Like, what if Trey Lance goes out there, completes 50% of passes, looks absolutely lost? What do? You can't do anything.
Listen, it's not impossible. Can we get the Niners schedule if you get a second?
Oh yeah,
because the Niners schedule will be interesting as well. I mean, it's definitely not impossible. It really isn't. And I wanted to, based on just the kind of conversation we just had, I want to do Niners schedule, then I want to do Panther schedule, just to kind of examine the Baker thing a little bit closer. The reason why I think they made the right decision in going to Trey Lance is everybody knows what Jimmy Garoppolo is. There's no more questions with Jimmy Garoppolo. There's no surprises. He's not all of a sudden going to develop into Tom Brady. It's not going to happen. So I understand that if you're Kyle Shanahan and that organization, I think it's John Lynch is the GM, I understand you looking at it and going, okay, well, we know what we're getting from Jimmy. We know what we're doing. It hasn't got us quite to the promised land. And, you spoke about that playoff game where he, had 70 yards passing in a playoff win. He's the kid in the group project who does nothing and still gets the A. That is what Jimmy Garoppolo is in the NFL.
Actually, I went on that long rant. I kind of lost the point of what I was trying to make, because this was the question I was actually supposed to ask you until I forgot, because I'm basically an idiot. I know that we just said, if 9-8, whatever, blah, blah, bad season. But, like, don't you want a quarterback that, like, you can have the faith in is going to win you some of those iffy games? Like, that you would be, instead of the Bills being, 2 L's on the schedule, would you want a quarterback that's like, damn, both of those games is a toss-up? Oh, we're going against the Bengals?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a toss-up. So what do you do? And here's the thing. What do you do with Tua if he does have that, what if he has a 25-12 season? Nothing good, nothing terrible, I guess. But they end up 10-7 or 11-6, and you make the playoffs. Do you say, oh, look, we made the playoffs? Or do you go, yeah, we made the playoffs, but was it really Tua? And then do you move on? Because that's, like I said, that's where I get in trouble, where I want that quarterback, but it's also, we just did something and it's very hard to find a quarterback. And the next one we draft might be terrible compared to the one that we literally just had in our building. What would you do?
Yeah, before we jump to the Niners schedule,
because it's kind of relevant with the 49ers right now.
Yeah, no, anyway. It is. It's a similar situation. I mean, what's funny is everyone seems to be saying, and I've kind of said it myself, that this is the make or break year for Tua. But there is a situation where he kind of buys himself an extra year, if that makes sense. There is a situation where he can perform just well enough to not answer all the questions, but buy himself one more year. Because, again, it's not been the easiest of start to his careers in terms of people around him and his coaches. And again, this is a brand new offense. And there is a thing about, the first year in a new offense with a new head coach may not be seamless. Yeah. So I think Tua does have some excuses. I'm hesitant to put like numbers on it because, I think at the end of the day, quarterback passing touchdown stats can get screwed a little bit, where you could have had 5 or 6 plays in a season where the guy gets tackled at the 1 and they sneak it in or they run it in and you don't get a passing touchdown, when in reality, you should have been 6 or 7 touchdowns better off than you actually were. And interceptions as well. Like, what I would love to develop is some sort of metric where, like tipped interceptions only count for like 0.25 if it's off your receiver's hands and he should have caught it or something like that. There must be a way to kind of weight it when like a terrible throw to straight to a defender, maybe that's worth double or something like that. So there has to be a way to kind of narrow it down a little bit more. I think that Tua will perform well enough to, I genuinely believe he will perform well enough to keep his job. But again, if he breaks out, we'll go 10-7 and be comfortably in the playoff. If he plays kind of as he's played before, we'll either be 8-9 or 9-8 and just miss out. And as Christian says, no way that offense doesn't put up 45 touchdowns total. I hope it's more than that. Across 17 games.
I mean, you hope so.
You got to be hitting 50 at least. Realistically more than that. But no, I am feeling positive about the Dolphins, generally speaking. Provided we stay injury free, I do think there's a good chance we can have a good season. But the AFC is just so loaded. And that's why, this 49ers thing is so interesting. Because in reality, if the 49ers stuck with Jimmy G and played Jimmy G all season, the 49ers would make the playoffs in a wild card spot. Guaranteed.
Oh, easily.
With Trey Lance, the 49ers could miss the playoffs or they could win their division. That's the question. Because Trey Lance is such an unknown commodity. And just as Patrick Mahomes was when he started for the Chiefs, no one had any idea what was going on. No one had seen it. There was no tape on him in the pro leagues. Obviously, you've seen him at college, but Texas Tech, completely different situation.
Yep.
If Trey Lance is the second coming, the people in San Francisco seem to think he is, he could revolutionize his 49ers offense and get them over the hump. The point is, let me pick a game at random here. Let me pick a game on their schedule. So, okay, in week 7, the Niners play the Chiefs. Jimmy Garoppolo cannot win that game. He cannot beat the Chiefs. Jimmy Garoppolo is not good enough to do that. Trey Lance might be. But also, Jimmy Garoppolo will not lose week 1 against the Bears. Trey Lance might. That's the conundrum. Is the floor with Trey Lance, we don't know how low it is.
You want
to ceiling, we have no idea how high it is.
You want to know what the perfect example to me is? And just picking one game, I would look. Let's see, what's home and away here? Does it tell you?
I think the red is home and the gold is away.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. No. Yeah, red is home. Yeah, you're right. So let's look. Damn. Let's look. All right, week 11, even though it's on the road.
Yes, sir.
It's
in Mexico City, so it's kind of a neutral.
Okay. Thing, yeah. Mutual site, whatever. I know for a fact Jimmy's going to win one of those games. Week 11 or week 18, I know for a fact the 49ers would beat the Cardinals at least one time.
Mm-hmm.
With Trey Lance, I have no idea if they beat them either one.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can look at a game, and it sounds weird. You said they would automatically lose to the Chiefs, but look at their success against the Rams. They went 2-0 against the Rams last year in the regular season. Obviously, they lost that playoff game, which was an unbelievable game anyway. With Trey Lance, do I think that they go 2-0 in the regular season? They could get swept very easily. So, that's the whole thing with and the trouble kind of that I guess we have of predicting what the 49ers do is I literally have no idea who Trey Lance is.
Yeah.
And that's where you get into the scary thing that I said before. Trey Lance, like you said, could be the second coming. Trey Lance, starting this year, could go on a 30-year run maybe with the advances in medicine. And make Tom Brady look like an absolute bum by the end of his career. Anything is possible. It's possible. Trey Lance could be unbelievable. Or he could be Ryan Leaf. and Jamarcus Russell. And that's kind of why, I feel like predicting it doesn't even make sense. Listen, I'll give you a couple predictions. I think you beat the Bears because they're one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I think you sweep the Seahawks because they're unbelievably awful.
You sweep the Seahawks because Drew Lock exists.
Exactly. I think you beat the Falcons because they might have the worst record in the NFL this year. And them and the Seahawks are going to compete for it. And then, listen, I'm sorry. I look at the rest of the games, and I have no idea what you do. I don't listen. Like we said, if Trey Lance is good, they can beat the Broncos. I think they could. If they're good, if he's good, they could beat the Rams at home.
If they're anyway good, they'll beat the Panthers in Week 5. But I appreciate that you're believing in Baker with me that Baker will win that game.
I am not a Baker hater like everybody else is. And maybe you'll agree with me on this one too. I've had a couple talks about this. I think if Baker sits out last year after he gets hurt, none of this happens.
100%.
I think
there is no way Deshaun Watson is on the Browns if Baker doesn't play.
I wouldn't say no way, but I would. I guess I mean. Then again, I guess I am kind of saying no way because I would say if he sits out last year and the last memory we have is him winning a playoff game.
Yep.
I think that they would kick the tires on Deshaun Watson. And then once he said, hell no, I'm not going to the Browns, they'd be like, okay, never mind then. And then they would say, okay, Atlanta, have fun. But instead, they saw what Baker did last year, and they were like, okay, guaranteed contract, Deshaun Watson, please come play for us. I'm begging you. We haven't had a good quarterback in our entire lives.
It's really difficult because I really liked Andrew Berry, GM of the Browns. Like, building the Browns YouTube series is really good. Lots of the teams do them now. They're behind the scenes of the draft. Like, they do full-on, in-depth behind-the-scenes stuff. And Andrew Berry did some really good stuff with the Browns, but his decision to go for Deshaun Watson and let go of Baker will go down in history one way or another as a franchise-changing decision. Now, who knows what will happen with Deshaun Watson? Obviously, he's being suspended very correctly. Probably should be suspended for longer than he was given initially. The NFL is appealing. We will have to wait and see what happens. But after that, and we assume he will, he gets back on the field, what happens with Deshaun in Cleveland will be very, very interesting. However, I think, you're absolutely right. See, if Baker gets hurt, I think it was against Houston, maybe, or maybe it was the Chiefs. I can't remember. When whoever he got injured against in like week 3 last week, if Baker does not play, he's still the Browns starting quarterback now, for sure.
Because here's my other I feel like people forget. Like, it's very easy to go back and look on the season and be like, yo, Baker was terrible. And listen, they played the Patriots. Baker was awful. Patriots won the game, blah, blah. Yeah. And I was like, wow, Baker really is bad. And then you look at it, Baker Mayfield's injury status at one point, and I'm not lying, was body.
Yeah.
It wasn't even specific anymore because both of his knees were shot. He had a back problem. He had the shoulder thing. And I feel like people look past the shoulder thing because it wasn't his throwing arm. Listen, and I'm not a professional athlete, as you can, surprising. Callum, I know it's surprising. Don't give me that shocked face or anything. But he was saying that he couldn't sleep at night. Callum, I don't sleep at night, and I am a miserable, sloggy human being. Imagine playing in the NFL with 4 hours of sleep because your arm is in a sling and you have to sleep in a chair.
Yeah, it's not possible. It's not possible.
Yeah, he has a whole body injury, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's done. He had one good season. But I'm like, bro, if you don't like Baker, that's your thing. But, I would not look at last year as oh, that's Baker's career. And I would
this is the key point
with the Panthers.
Saying that you don't like Baker, fine by me. He rubs people the wrong way. I personally love it. I like my players to have some attitude. I like my players to believe in themselves. I like the fact that if Kansas fans are going to say something to him, he's going to turn around and grab his crotch. I enjoy that. It's good character. I want good characters in the league. And I genuinely believe that he will prove himself this year in Carolina, that he is a good player to go along with that. The judgment of Baker based on last season and the injuries he sustained was not fair. And remarkably, it is partially on him. So I will say this. He definitely was holding onto the ball too long at times with his injury. But he's the kind of guy who is trying to win and trying everything to find a way to win. He was desperate to make it work in Cleveland because they drafted him. They gave him the blessing and the pressure of being the great white hope. And he was that for a little while. If the Browns, for all their very good offensive line play, did not protect him very well in pass protection last year. Now, again, admittedly, some of that was him holding the ball too long, but the Browns were more effective running the ball than they were throwing the ball. And that is not just on Baker Mayfield. That's also that the line was better creating running lanes than pass blocking.
Sometimes it's how it is. But,
so, let's just quickly do this 49ers schedule, because then I do want to talk about the Panther schedule for sure. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right in what you're saying. In terms of definite winnable games, I see Bears, Seahawks, Falcons, Seahawks, and Commanders as the ones that they will win, probably no matter what.
You're not faith in my guy, Pennsylvania?
I've got no faith in the Washington Commanders as an organization, full stop.
Wensington, D.C.,
Yeah, I like to think that Carson Wentz will have a resurgence. I don't hate Carson Wentz at all. I quite like Carson Wentz. But
Callum, I don't think
the rest of that roster is lacking in. Huh?
I don't think you were with us at the time, but I might have picked Carson Wentz to win the MVP last year.
In Indianapolis?
I might have. It's possible.
Ooh, yeah, that was before I arrived.
Actually, no. I don't know if it was in Indianapolis or it was his last year in Philly. But one of those years I picked him to win the MVP.
Are you still a believer?
Oh, listen. I'm going to ride with it till I die. It's my thing now. It's my thing now. I said, when it used to be Pennsylvania, then it went to Winston-Annapolis.
Yeah.
Now it's Wensington, D.C.
Oh, I like that. That's good. That you can make some T-shirts with that. You can make some money there.
When he wins the MVP, I don't want to hear nothing. It wasn't 2020. Okay, there you go.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, can we? I appreciate we're probably running out of time. Can we do the Panther schedule real quick?
Listen, Cal, we got nothing but time, unless you got something to do. Because
got to cook dinner for the wife or something.
See, look at this guy. Hold on, let me pull up the Panther schedule real quick. And here we are.
All right.
The fact that Sam Darnold is on here, by the way.
Yeah, he won't be for long.
is incredible to me.
There's a realistic chance they're 3-0.
I would say
especially if Jameis limped off for the Saints today in practice, and they're saying it's nothing major, and probably isn't. But if Andy Dalton's the starter for the Saints, there's a real chance that Baker can beat Brissett, Daniel Jones, and Andy Dalton with his eyes closed, as far as I'm concerned. I
got to stick to my guns and say the Browns win week 1, I guess.
Okay.
Because I've said that, but I definitely see a win at the Giants. I mean, come on. What are we talking about?
I tell you right now, whatever wager I put on week 1 games, there is no way that I am not going to pick the Panthers to win week 1. It might be
possible. It might be possible I placed a 14-cent 17-game parlay for week 1.
Okay, I'm going to need you to talk me through that before we finish.
I'll pull it up right now after this. Don't worry.
But this is the thing. This is, again, I think it's so funny the way this works with kind of NFL schedules. I feel like teams go up for a few games, then they go down for a few games. And like I say there that they're going to be 3-0. I then think they'll lose at least 2 of the next 4, probably 3 or 4 of the next 4. So they go from 3-0 and Baker's, God's gift to Carolina, to all of a sudden they're 4-3 or 3-4, and I'm not sure. Then they beat the Falcons 2 times in the next 3 games, lose to the Bengals and Ravens. But I think by the time they get to their bye week, I really do think there's a chance that they would be, 5-7, 6-6. I really don't think this Panthers roster is bad.
That's a scary ass schedule, Jimmy said.
Well, but it's scary because you've got the Buccaneers home and away, and they're just unfortunate that they have to play the NFC West because that is a loaded schedule.
Exactly, but that makes.
But in reality, in their run-in, they beat the Seahawks. They could beat the Steelers. They could beat the Lions, and again, they could beat the Saints.
They'll beat the Falcons twice.
I say guaranteed, not necessarily guaranteed wins, eminently winnable games. Lions, Seahawks, Falcons, Giants. And then I'd put the Steelers on there as winnable. The Browns, because we know that Brissett is not going to be there. I think they could win 7 or 8 games. Chris, 6 good players on the Panthers. Okay. Baker Mayfield, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. And then on the defense,
Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Seems he's the only player top 10 in their respective position. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of guys who are in that 10 to 25 range.
Jeremy Chin, thank you. That was the one I was missing.
Like I think DJ Moore. Thank you, Christian. Yeah, I do think DJ Moore is a really talented receiver.
God damn, I wish I could remember what it was. Josh gave me some stat when we were doing the hard count last week. I think Moore is like the only player, like one of a few players to have a certain amount of yards over the past couple of years or something like that. So
yeah.
I mean,
no,
he's not
I know
bad.
the one you're talking about.
I can't remember what the hell it was though. I don't know.
I like Terrace Marshall. He could develop into a wide receiver that we like for sure.
Possible.
And then you've got to think that Ike Ekwonu, top five lineman, is going to be a solid addition to them.
At least.
I'm completely blanking on some of these names, so I'm pulling up the roster.
Yeah, listen.
J.C. Horn, cornerback. Jeremy Chin, Xavier Woods. These are people. Johnny Hecker, they've got one of the best punters in the league now. So there you go.
True.
That's at least 6.
Christian, calm down. Christian, calm down.
Baker is maybe top 30?
Calm down, bud.
Christian,
calm down. Calm down.
You're trying to tell me there's only 2 worse quarterbacks than Baker Mayfield? You're having a laugh. I'm not even going to go into the rankings because we've done it 1,000 times and we never agreed. But there's no way. There's just no way that you can put Baker that
Baker's
low.
not outside of the top 20. Calm down.
Yeah. And look, there are definitely scary elements to this schedule. And, what I fully expect to happen with the Panthers this year is that Baker proves he is still a starting caliber NFL quarterback. At the end of the season, Matt Rule gets fired, and then the new head coach will come in, whoever that is. And based on that new head coach, Baker will either stay in Carolina and re-sign with them or try and go somewhere else. And where Baker could end up, going back to something we spoke about earlier. If Daniel Jones doesn't work out, Baker could be in New York. He's the sort of guy who can deal with that. He can deal with the loud press.
See, the only thing is, I feel like this quarterback draft is going to be so heavy. I mean, not that I watch college, but I know that there's a lot of names coming out this year.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Giants are bad if they just draft a quarterback.
It's possible. It definitely is possible.
Because, I mean, you can look at the Giants and I don't know. I'm just not in love with them. You're looking at like a 6-win team. So,
yeah.
Well, Christian, you know more college than I do, so I'll defer. 7 legit first-round college quarterbacks next year. 7. So, if that's the case, I mean, you're looking
7. Christian says 7 first round.
Christian said 7.
I don't know about 7. I love a draft night with loads of QBs though, so I'd be very happy if it was 7. But it's one of those things where Baker's going to fall into that category of good enough to be a starter, and almost in a very different way because they're very different kinds of players. Very similar to where Jimmy G is now, which is we know what he is, And I think Baker's ceiling is probably winning that playoff game for Cleveland in Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know that Baker is ever fully going to be able to make it to a Super Bowl champion, but Baker will give you exciting moments that Jimmy Garoppolo cannot. So, that's how I feel basically.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. I absolutely don't disagree. Well, listen, we've gone through a few teams here.
Yeah.
And
real quick, will you do your week 1 parlay for me?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot all about that. Let me tell you something. Is it going to hit? No. But do you throw a prayer out there? Absolutely.
I'm going to be interested to see how many of the 17 I agree with. How many
16,
16,
I guess I was wrong. So let's see. Listen, I love the Bills this year. Yeah. I got the Rams in the opening game of the year.
Take the over.
I didn't do any overs. I only picked the games.
No, I know. I'm just that's why I would 100% do that. So Rams, yeah. I
got Rams. I took the Bengals -6.5 against the Steelers.
Yeah,
Week 1 with
hate that.
Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. Hell no, they're not scoring. Yeah. I took the Eagles money line against the Lions.
Yep.
I took the Colts money line against the Texans.
100%.
I took
minus 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should have. I took the Saints money line against the Falcons.
Yep.
I took the spread -6 against the -6 the Ravens against the Jets.
Yep.
I took the Pats money line, baby.
I know you would. We'll leave that. I'll ignore that one. Yeah.
I took the Browns money line.
Okay. Yeah, we've been there. Yeah.
I took believe it or not, I did take the 49ers -6.5 against the Bears week 1.
Yeah, no, for sure. The best.
I got Commanders money line against the Jags.
Against the Jags?
Yeah. The Commanders are home.
I wonder if Doug Peterson can crack Carson Wentz. That's what I wonder. But yes, I don't hate that as an idea. Yeah.
I took the Raiders +4 against the Chargers.
Ooh. That's the first one that I'm not sure.
+4, though. I think they'll keep it close.
I love the Chargers.
Oh, no, I love them, too. Listen, a little hint to what we're going to do after this. I might have them at the top of the division. Titans, I took their money line against the Giants.
Yep.
I took the Chiefs money line against the Cardinals.
Yes.
I took the Packers money line against the Vikings.
100%.
I took the spread for the Bucks -1.5 against the Cowgirls.
On the road?
It is on the road, but hey, when you got a goat in your pocket, you know.
I hear you.
And then I took the Broncos -5.5 against the Seahawks.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's not losing that game, is he?
I put a whopping, Callum, 14 cents on it. It would win me $8.96.
I mean, that's pretty fun.
So, I mean, hey, what's a prayer?
Yeah, what is a prayer? No, honestly, there's a lot there that I agree with. I would have stayed away from the Chargers. I mean, I appreciate picking every game. I would have stayed away from the Raiders plus money. I am interested to see what the Raiders are like this year. I'm nowhere near as high on them as a lot of people are.
Really?
I think the Raiders might be the 4th best team in that division. But
see, the thing is, I do too, but I also think the 4th best team in that division might be the best team in any other division besides the AFC East with the Bills.
I do hear you.
So, all right. Well, that's my prayer week 1 parlay. If anybody else was interested in that, so feel free to put 14 cents on it on FanDuel. And listen, maybe if a couple of those games go final and they win, listen, your boy could always cash out. And even if it's $5, I'm still cashing out because I started. Listen, it was the last 14 cents in my account because it took me forever to get verified on FanDuel. I sent them a picture of my license, my social security card, and they wouldn't verify me. And then like 3 months later, I tried it again, sent a picture of my license in, all of a sudden, all good.
What are we doing?
So that annoying us anyway. But listen, let's go through real quick. We're just going to shoot off the top of our head. Let me pull up, ESPN for my own sake, so I can make sure I don't forget a division because, well, like I said, I am that guy. But we'll start with an easy one. And we'll go, Callum, what do you want to do? You want to give our rankings, or do you want to just do the division winners?
I'll do rankings. That's fine. I'll do 1 to 4 just quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a nice little ranking. How about? All right, fine. I'll pull up the preseason standings. How about that? Show everybody where we're going with this. Go to the standings. Bam! There you go. Preseason standings. Look at that. If I'm ranking this, it's fairly simple to me.
Yeah.
I got the Bills on top. I do have listen, this is the order. I got the Dolphins next, the Pats, and then the Jets. I'm a Patriot fan. I'm a very realistic person. Our offensive coordinator is either a former defensive coordinator or Joe Judge, who called kneel plays for the Giants last year on like a 3rd and 20. So those are our 2 options. Don't have a real wide receiver room. So, not much faith here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I think basically, I genuinely think there's a clear 1 and 2, and I think there's a clear 3 and 4. And I think there's really a clear 1 and a clear 2, and then 3 and 4, I think is a little bit of a toss-up between Patriots and Jets.
See, now you're getting a little disrespectful here.
It's not meant to be disrespectful. What it is I believe that the Jets massively improved in the draft. Massively. So we'll see if they can translate that into production. And I don't mean it disrespectful, but yeah, I'm glad we agree that the Bills will win the division.
I mean, yeah, but for me, it's Bills and then like the Grand Canyon,
and then the Dolphins, yeah.
The Empire State Building on top of it, and things of that nature. The state of Texas, maybe. You go to the North. Yeah, I got the Bengals. I had the Bengals winning it because I love what they did. Obviously, they have all of their returning pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they finally did it. They did what the Colts should have done for Andrew Luck, and they got him some offensive line help. So I think they're going to improve massively. I would put the Ravens next, then probably the Browns, and then the Steelers. I think the Steelers' first year ever with Mike Tomlin go under 500.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about that because I really like Tomlin's record of not going under 500. I have Ravens 1, Bengals 2, Browns 3, Steelers 4. So basically, just as it is on your screen, put the Ravens at the top and then go down. I think Lamar will be back with a vengeance, and I just really like that Ravens team. So no disrespect to the Bengals, but I think they kind of caught lightning in the bottle last year at the right time, and I reckon that the Ravens will do it. And then in the South, I have the Colts as the winners. I have Colts, Titans. Massive toss-up between the Jaguars and Texans. I think they'll both be bottom 5 in the league teams. I'm going to lean the advantage towards the Jaguars just because of a new coach bounce, and I think that Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne will rekindle a bit of their Clemson magic.
I can agree with that. I'll stick with you there. I don't mind it.
And then
West,
tell me your West, yeah.
I guess this is kind of where I get in trouble because everybody still loves the Chiefs. But God, without Tyreek Hill, can't you just look at Travis Kelce and say anybody but you was allowed to beat us? That's what I think is going to happen. So I go with the Chargers at the top. And then listen, it's people find me disrespectful, but I still put the Chiefs second. Mm-hmm. I put the Broncos third, and I put the Raiders last. And I think the Raiders might win 10 games. I think every team in this division could win 10 games. I swear to God, I really do.
Talent-wise, yeah. I don't know if the math quite works out for that to even be possible. It's possible it does. I think it's really hard not to put the best player in the league winning his own division, and that's the problem with Mahomes, obviously.
No, we already put Josh Allen in the East. It's all right.
Ooh, okay. I love Josh Allen, but interesting. I think this is another clear 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. I have the Chiefs and the Chargers as 1 and 2. I'm happy to lean either way on who's 1 and who's 2. I just think they're the 2 best teams in the division. And then I think the Raiders and the Broncos are 3 and 4. Again, not by a long way. They're both great rosters. But I'm not as sold on Denver's wide receivers core as a lot of people are. I don't really buy the Cortland Sutton hype. Jerry Jeudy was great at Alabama, but he needs to produce it in the big leagues. What's funny for me is that Russell Wilson left basically the 3rd best team in the NFC West at the time to become the 3rd best team in the AFC West. That's
Broncos country.
Strange.
That's right.
I'm going to hazard a guess that you're going to have not the Cowboys at the top of this next one.
No. Come on. What are we talking about here? I got the Eagles winning. Mm-hmm. I got the Eagles with the division, the Cowboys second, Commanders, Giants. Listen, when's the last time a back-to-back division winner? Like 04?
No, I know. It's possible. The Eagles got a lot better. I mean, I'm basically having Cowboys and Giants top 1 and 2 for sure, and then Commanders third. Sorry, Cowboys and Eagles top 1 and 2.
Oh my God!
Forgive me. Sorry.
I've never been that scared in my life.
No, I know. Cowboys and Eagles 1 and 2, Giants 4th, Washington 3rd, and then in the North, until someone proves this otherwise, this is Aaron Rodgers' division to toy with as he likes. I have the Packers all the way. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to put the Lions second.
Really?
And the Vikings third, and the Bears 4th. And this is maybe just to stir up some emotions, but equally, I really like Dan Campbell. I really like the Lions.
I can't wait for Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I'm so excited for tomorrow night for Hard Knocks.
Oh, it's tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow night, episode 1.
Oh, now that's an interesting development. See, look at this guy coming on my own show, dropping knowledge bombs.
I love the way they went after Jameson Williams in the draft. I know he will take a few weeks to get ready, but Jameson Williams is absolutely electric. So I'm all in on the Lions being good. And the Vikings, again, I go back to the Kirk Cousins. With Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen on that roster, they should be a playoff team every single year, and they're not. And it has to be to do with the quarterback as far as I'm concerned.
See, I can't listen. Love Dan Campbell. Can't get there with you. Especially because Jared Goff is the quarterback of the Lions.
I hear that.
So I agree with you though. Packers until somebody proves me otherwise. Although a lot of people, and by a lot of people I mean Colin Cowherd, apparently love the Vikings to win this division for some reason. I'm not sure. I guess because
first season with a new head coach. No, thank you.
Yeah, I guess it's because they have an offensive coach now and blah, 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 whatever. Don't care. Didn't ask. Not
for me.
Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears.
Fair.
For me.
South. I'm assuming we're both going Bucks first.
Of course. Come on.
And then probably Saints second and Panthers third. And
I think the Saints are going to make the playoffs, by the way.
Okay, yeah. Well, if Jameis stays healthy and plays as Jameis was playing before his injury, yes.
Michael Thomas back. Listen, we say the slant boy thing, but you lead the league in receptions. He had like 145 receptions that year.
You don't do that by accident. Yeah.
The dude is good. Like, we say slant boy, but hey, I would take 5-yard slant routes on the Patriots every single game if I could have Michael Thomas. I would pay an unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't pay it, but a nice amount of money to have Michael Thomas on the team. So you can call him all the names you want, but if you can produce, you can produce. But yeah, I would go Bucks, Falcons, and then Bucks, Falcons, Jesus. Bucks,
Careful.
Saints, Panthers, and then Falcons.
I hear you. Okay, and then the main event, which is maybe my favorite division, and you were talking about hills that you die on with Carson Wentz. I am going to die on this hill that the Arizona Cardinals will win this division.
Really?
The Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury can be successful, will be successful with guys like J.J. Watt in that locker room, Hopkins coming back after 6 games to bolster it, his college roommate Hollywood Brown tearing things up with his speed, Rondale Moore in his second year as an all-out gadget weapon, James Conner, a very underrated running back. I really like the Cardinals. The Rams are going to be the Rams. So I think it's a clear 1-2 and then a clear 3-4. I know Christian's watching and I know he's hating it, but I'm having Rams 1. Sorry, idiot. Christian's getting in my head. I'm having Cardinals 1, Rams 2, Niners 3rd, and then unfortunately Seahawks. Even though I love Seattle, I'm having Seahawks 4.
Now, Callum, I just want to make sure you know this. There is a new Call of Duty coming out this year. So, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I've heard the jokes about Kyler. I know he likes to play his video games. But I'm just thinking that if the Cardinals are intelligent, they're going to swap the Call of Duty disc for a Madden disc. And then it all just works out.
Yeah, that would be one hell of a trick they would pull off right there. Would be a hell of a trick.
Listen, I'm a Kyler believer. I'm a Kyler truther. I will be until he's out of the league. I love that little man. He's hilarious and just fantastic. And Cliff Kingsbury is too good looking to fail.
Handsome gentleman. Handsome gentleman.
Now, you could throw it back in my face and say, what about Jimmy Garoppolo? And I'd say, yeah, I hear that. But no.
Second best looking quarterback in the league to my guy, Tom. Tom got the distinguished
Cardinals to win the division. Book it. Take the +1.
Yeah, I got the Cardinals to come in second. Make the playoffs. But the Rams, listen, I mean, you got Cooper Kupp, best wide receiver in the NFL, by the way. You got Matt Stafford, who don't care what anybody says. People complain, arguing that if he's top 10 or top this, whatever, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Top 10, he probably deservingly top 7, honestly. They signed Allen Robinson, who, by the way, looks unbelievable in training camp. Doesn't mean that much, but looks unbelievable. They signed, casually Bobby Wagner, who's probably, you look at him and Luke Kuechly as the best linebackers of our, last little generation we've had of linebackers. Yeah, I got to go with the Rams. Cardinals, I'll go next, obviously. I just don't really have the faith in the 49ers. I at least know what the Cardinals are. And then, yeah, I mean, come on. The Seahawks, that's a 3-win team, bud.
The Cardinals will be what we can agree on is the Cardinals will be the playoff team.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Great.
I think if you don't have the Cardinals as a playoff team, you're just hating at that point. You're a little bored in life. Need something to talk about. I mean, who's taking the spot?
I just wish I'd known Christian when the Rams were in St. Louis. So I wonder if he'd have been as loud then. That's what I wish.
I mean, you never know. But hey, listen, an unbelievable time. We went through some schedules. We talked about it. Listen, we talked about life, about the culture shocks of coming to America. This is an all-inclusive podcast, obviously.
You get it all. You get it all here.
Talk about it all. If you want knowledge, might not be the place for you. But with that being said, we'll end it there. Callum, and of course, before we go, as our distinguished guest and brought some class to the show this week with that beautiful accent, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and we can head out?
Yeah, I'm at Callum JD Squires on Twitter and Instagram. And if by any chance you are happening to be a soccer fan, I've just launched a new podcast last week, Desert Island Goals, which is at DI Goals Podcast on Twitter as well. All about if you could only rewatch or relive 5 soccer goals for the rest of your life, what would they be and why? And I am planning a little spin-off that we'll have to have you as a guest on AC of Desert Island Touchdowns. So if you think about the 5 touchdowns in your life that if you could relive or rewatch and relive that moment, but you could only have 5, which would they be and why? So I'm sure there's a couple Super Bowls in there.
My head.
Yeah,
so that's
right now. So if you're interested in soccer, hearing me talk to American guests and British guests, learning about people and how they enjoy the sport around the world, give us a listen. And thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, listen, welcome back anytime, my friend, anytime. As for me, you guys know what it is by now, or at least I hope you do. It's 101 episodes later. Come on. Anthony Conover _ on Twitter for my thoughts on everything. Obviously, you can follow the show right there at Gen Z Sports on Twitter. Speaking of Gen Z, if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and you use code Gen Z, you can double your first deposit up to $100. You know, who doesn't want some free money? You put 50 in, you get another 50. You go on Underdog. You bet all 100 and you win some even more money. I mean, hey, with the NFL season coming along, those over-unders get to become very, very fun. I won like $300 last year on, I think it was like week 16 in the NFL. Wonderful time. Love seeing $300 hit the bank account. Obviously, do this every Monday, 7 Eastern, usually with Josh, of course, but hey, got to change it up every once in a while, have some people on. Tuesdays, do the hard count with me and CJ. That is everything in the football world, of course. And then Thursdays, I do backstop banter with me and Michael. There won't be a show this week, at least not to my knowledge, only because I have a Renegades game to go work. So I will not be there unless Michael finds a guest. But if he does, that is 9 Eastern, usually every Thursday, everything in the baseball world. So make sure you go and check that out. All 3 of those podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor. Listen, wherever you listen to a podcast, we're available. And if you want to see these beautiful faces live, just head over to the YouTube, Unwrap Sports or Generational Sports. You can find everything that we do over there. But with all of that being said, Callum, I appreciate you coming on the show, brother. I appreciate everybody in the comments. And listen, people, until next episode, all right, y'all have a good one.